Hi all, it's Christy from Crafty Christy's Creations. Today I am showing off this beautiful Thanksgiving Pilgrim hat card. And as you can see, it's got lots of dimension with the sunflower on there. And I went ahead and added some Wink of Stella for some extra shine over the card. So without further ado, let me show you how we put this one together. Okay, so I've got all my pieces already cut out here. I've got an assortment of glue and pop dots, kind of see how we do here. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take the big piece here and I'm gonna fold it along that score line. And I'm gonna fold it back. And I'm just gonna try to line up the bottoms nice and evenly. And then I'm gonna use my bone folder to really help me get that score line nice and crisp. Okay, so now we've got our card folded in half. The next thing I'm going to do is grab my little green piece. This is what's gonna sit behind the word thankful and really make it stand out. So we'll flip this over and it just sits pretty centered here. You should have a good size gap on both sides and then centered up and down. So what I think I'm gonna do is, because I know this glue bottle is gonna put out a lot, so I'm just gonna put some on a scrap piece of paper. And then I'm just gonna get my finger messy here and just try to dab some off of there onto my finger. And then I'm just gonna dab into the openings around the words here because I want those to be able to stick nicely, and I'm just being careful that I'm not pulling. I'm kind of just like rolling my finger over it. Obviously if you have a nice like fine point glue bottle, that would work good, but mine is all clogged up and I know that this big one is gonna put out way too much. So I'm just gonna do this around the words, and then I'm gonna kind of come out to this edge a little bit as well. A little messier than normal. Go around this bottom edge, but I just don't want to put too much glue and I don't want it seeping through. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, I'm gonna line this up and try to get it centered. And it's okay, this is gonna be the back side of the card, so it's not a huge deal if you can see that through there. And I'm just gonna wipe that edge. And it did seep through some to the other side. Whoops. I'm gonna just put that back in place there. But you can see some of it did seep through to the other side. So I'm just gonna try to dab all of that away and get these tiny little pieces back in the correct placement. All right. So we've got that part done. That looks pretty good. So the next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and we'll put down our little Pilgrim stripe here, which is like the belt. So just go ahead and glue that down. And again, I'm gonna try not to use too much glue. This puts out quite a bit, so I'm just gonna put it in the center. And then I can go ahead and just line this up. So it should be flush with this bottom edge here and then flush on the sides. Okay. Oop. And then I'm just going to press that into place. There we go. And then our next little piece is going to be the brim that's going to go sit in the center. So I'm going to grab my ruler because I want to make sure I get this completely centered. So what I can do, I'm going to go across the bottom, and it goes 1 to 5. I start at the 1, so if I start at 0, let's just make it easy. And it's going to go to the 4. So I know I need the center of that to be at the 2, so it should be from 1.5 to 2.5, and that's going to be right on the center. I'm just going to put some glue on the back of this guy. And I'm just trying not to put too much. And then I can just spread that out. Okay. So like I said, we're going at the 1.5 to the 2.5. So I'm going to put my outer edge on 1.5. And I'm just trying to kind of set it right there. And then push over to the 2.5, make sure it's lined up at the top and the bottom, which is also the nice part about using the ruler is you can make it flush with that yellow piece. So that way it's going to be on there nice and flush. And I'm just going to use my tool here to help me press this one down to make it nice and straight, since this is a little bit more flimsy. Okay, that looks good. This is a pretty quick card to put together. So the next thing we'll do is we'll just put together the sunflower that's going to sit at the top, and it's got 4 layers. And so I'm just going to center these 2 layers on top of each other like that, and then this one will sit on there, and then you've got this piece that's going to sit on top. So I think I'm going to start off with my 2 brown pieces, and I'm just going to get my finger really messy again. And then just try to brush a nice light layer of glue over this entire piece. And if I put the glue on here nice and evenly, the sheen will show up the same across this entire piece. So it will look, it'll look fine because it'll have that same sheen for the whole piece. And then I'm just gonna set this other layer on top of it. Get it nice and centered. And then we can press that down. And then I'm going to set that aside to let that dry while I get these 2 put together. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some pop dots on these just to give it a little more added interest. And I think 1 will be enough. And then you just want your petals to be alternating. I'm trying to just line that up the best you can so that they're alternating all the way around. And that'll give it some good dimension. And then I think I'm also going to pop up the center as well. And you just want to center that inside your flower. Got it all pressed down there. And then for some more added interest, what you can do is curl these edges a little bit. And what do I have? So I'm just going to use, this is the Quick Stick. We are memory keepers. And I'm just going to use this rounded end And I'm just gonna try to take some of the edges here and just give them a little curl and maybe curl some back. And like I said, this just gives it a little bit more interest. And I'm not gonna curl all of them, but it is nice to just curl a few. I'm just trying to give it a nice little curl around the edge. There, that looks, it's got some interest now. That looks better. And I'll go ahead and put another foam dot on this guy. And then again, this is gonna go in the center up here. So I will kind of take a look at where this is gonna sit. So it needs to be, make sure it's down on the bottom half here. And it's gonna be centered above your little silver piece. Oh, and it is stuck. There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna use that ruler to help guide me a little bit. And I think right about there. Just gonna press that down. Okay, and now the front is completed. And then we'll go ahead and open the inside. And we'll put our piece here. We're just gonna center that in there. And for this one, I'm actually, we'll just use this. So a light layer of liquid glue, otherwise tape runner would be really good for this as well. I don't want to put too much. I'm just trying to push it out to the corners so that it doesn't peel up, but we'll get this centered. So you should have a nice gap on all sides. And once you've got that centered, go ahead and press it down. And this is where you'll be able to write your sentiment. Okay, so there you have a quick Thanksgiving Pilgrim hat card. Perfect to be sending to your family, especially this year if you're not able to go see them. You know, just to send them a little something and let them know that you're caring about them. So there you have it. All in all, it was really quick to put together. It took a lot more time just cutting it, and I think I'm at maybe a full hour between cutting and assembly. All right, until next time, with love, Crafty Christy.